those aren't my plans. See, I already have a life. Well, I had one, and I'm trying to reclaim it. Or maybe what you could say is I had two, and I'm trying to end one of them so the other can survive.
You do so love to talk in riddles, Mr. Marston. Do you do that, I wonder, as a substitute for having anything interesting to say?
Probably, Miss McFarland.
I need an extra hand to take out the herd to pasture.
Sure. Point me in the right direction.
Well, hello, everyone. Ogre27 Kane here today, and we're going to do a review of Red Dead Redemption for the Nintendo Switch. Let's do an overview and find out what this game is all about. Well, this is a big, open-world, narrative-driven, story-fun Western game from Rockstar, basically Grand Theft Auto in the Wild West, and I absolutely love this. This came out back on the Xbox 360 and the PS3, and this is pretty much a direct one-to-one port to it. They did do a little bit of work on the resolution, and they did do a little bit of work on the frame rate. It's definitely smoother and steadier and looks a lot better, but it's still the same game at its heart, and I love the fact that it's complete on the cartridge. That's right, there was a tiny little day one update, a few megabytes, but other than that, it's all complete there on the cartridge. So I think we should enjoy this game and talk about it a little bit. Let's start out first with, of course, the gameplay. Now there's of course two modes of gameplay in this, the main story and quest line and world, and then the Undead Nightmare zombie excursion. I'm not going to be showing off any of the Undead Nightmare in this because I almost consider it in-game content. A lot of it kind of requires you to know how to play the game, and it's kind of built on just having fun around the world. The majority of the game itself will teach you all the mechanics and everything you need to enjoy yourself, so let's talk about the main game itself. Now first up, being an open world game, it allows you to explore and do the quests and story in whatever order you essentially want to do them in. A lot of this game is built around learning and understanding the mechanics because the multiplayers and the extensions to this game are a lot of fun. The story in this game will probably take you somewhere between 15 and 30 hours. Yeah, that's kind of a broad range because there's a lot of things people do include and don't include. One of my favorite aspects to this, though, is that it's not just running around on foot. There's a lot of horseplay, such as catching and taming horses, and herding cattle and other cowboy duties. This game has a lot of fun elements to it that really come together with the story itself as it's playing out, so you really don't get tired of anything as it happens. So one last thing I do have to mention is that the fast travel in this game is absolutely terrible. It is one thing that could have used a quality of life improvement, and they didn't touch it at all. So I will mention that as the one negative caveat in this video. Let's move on now to the next category, the story. So this game sees you as John Marston. You're set out by the federal government to hunt down an outlaw that you used to ride with. He's basically shot you and left you for dead and took over the gang, and now you're being bribed by the federal government with your family in lieu to hunt him down and finish the job on him. The game basically is a story of how you come together with all of the other people in this area, the state basically, to hunt this man down and bring him to justice. Now, being a Rockstar game, it's completely up to you how you do this. Whether you bring him alive or dead is totally up to you. The rest of this game is about the journey. That's right, the journey to see all of the different character stories through. And the game really does bond you emotionally to a lot of the world and what's happening. New Austin is a fantastic and vibrant place with a ton of different and unique stories that all come together to give it a wonderful world. I really can't mention too much more about the story without spoiling it. Just know that it is a really well written and well done element to the game. So let's jump into combat now. Well, the combat in this game is pretty fun. It's what you'd expect. It's a Wild West shooter. You have your Winchester repeater, and you have your pistol, your sidearm, and you have a lasso. You can capture people, shoot them dead, string them up, do whatever you want to do. This game has a lot of different elements of combat. You can also get into fistfights with people, and you can get into basically duels with them. You can also have riding combat, and you can have different elements that require you to use some thinking, such as trapping enemies or flanking enemies or using other maneuvers such. One of my favorite elements is in the multiplayer where you get a ride as a posse and go around and do things as a group. You can actually coordinate some pretty sophisticated things. The last thing I want to mention is that the game has a Deadeye system which can slow down time and allow you to shoot multiple enemies. This is pretty fun and allows you to take out big crowds of enemies that are coming at you at one time. For our next category now, we have controls and audio. So the controls in this are pretty reminiscent of any open world adventure game you may have played. You have a ready your weapon attack button, you have menu buttons, and you control with the left stick. You can also crouch and dodge behind walls and use them for cover. I do like the control scheme in this, but the only issue I have is that you have to tap the B button to run or sprint, and it gets kind of annoying when tracking targets. Now let's hear some audio.
Found that no good piece of dirt. Thank you. Careful, sir.
I'll show off some of the voices at the end, but as far as the music goes, I love the music in this game and I think they did a fantastic job. I really couldn't have asked for anything better and I have no complaints in this category. Yeah, there's the occasional audio clip and sometimes the characters' voices don't match their mouths, but it's kind of expected of an old game. They couldn't fix every little detail. Over and all though, I'm pretty happy with it, and I have to say that it sounds good on a big TV with a good sound system. So let's move on to the next category now, the graphics and animations. So my last impressions of this game were way back on the Xbox 360, and although being beautiful for its time, it did not do its justice. It had some rough edges. Now coming forward, this game runs pretty close to 1080 and it runs at a very, very smooth locked 30 FPS. No, it's not 60, but for the Switch it still manages to look really good. The game has some fantastic performance and doesn't have any frame rate dips or issues that you may have expected. This is definitely a far superior port job than they did on the GTA trilogy, and I'm glad that they did this and did it all on the cartridge because it makes this game worthwhile to me. So let's touch the conclusion now. Well, in conclusion, like I said, I was really afraid that they were going to mess this up like the GTA trilogy. They did not. They did a fantastic job, and this is definitely one of the best ports on the Switch. It's all complete with all the DLC and all the fun to be had. They did a great job bringing the resolution up and stabilizing the frame rate, and Rockstar really impressed me with this. I don't think we'll get Red Dead 2, but it makes me hopeful that maybe the Switch 2 can handle that. It would be cool to have these games on a Nintendo console, so thank you for watching today's video. It was a blast to make. I upload every single Monday. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe, and have a great rest of your day. This is Ogre27 Kane signing out.
Norman Deek. Nice to see you again, buddy. Thanks for your help, John. Norman here is going to help us get to Bill. Ain't you, Norman?
Thank you, Mr. Dick. Mighty kind.
Hog time. Let's get him to jail.